Okay, let me state clearly. Let me start from the last one. The truth of the matter is that the law allows every litigant to come to court and to actually collect judgments on the set day of judgment. So it does not change anything whether the person who won or loses is actually in court. So it is just what the law allows for. Because after doing your matter, definitely you would actually come on the day of judgment to know what the judgment of the court is. And on most of the occasion, you would also look at the arguments you actually placed. Sometimes even before the verdict is actually given, you already know that you have actually lost the matter or you've actually won. So sometimes these are some of the factors that actually play out eventually. And some senior lawyers usually would not want to come to court on the day of judgment. They immediately send their juniors to come and all that. So it's quite understandable on that particular limb. Then for the issue of executive rascality we have seen and their influence on judiciary, how we can solve this problem is simple. See, the judiciary has the bulk of the work to do, because they must carry themselves with respect, they must carry themselves with honor as against what the pressures from these politicians. Let me say this. The politicians would always look for ways to compromise the judiciary. But what makes the difference is the character and integrity of the judge. That the judge stands firm. There were times we had people like the Justice Oputas of our world and the rest of them. We knew about their integrity and their personality and how firm they stood on critical issues that affects this nation and that affects major politicians. But these days we seem to be a little bit weak in this particular regard. And I have always said that judges have to be the ones to correct this whole thing, because these politicians will stop at nothing. They will stop at nothing to try to influence judgments of courts. So the judges themselves have a duty, not just to themselves, but to Nigerians, to make sure that they are always firm on issues, even when this enticement comes. Then the National Judicial Council, as well as the Judicial Service Commission, must look for ways to as well protect judges from the actions of these politicians. If Yes Wike builds houses and says he's presenting it to the judiciary has a right to reject those houses. They have a right to reject those houses. It must not be, there's nothing on earth that says that they have to accept those houses. Those are not just mere houses built for judges. Those are mansions. This was the same thing he did in Rivers State, where he built houses for judges, and we raised up this concern that the judges that they didn't give houses, they gave them 150 million. What does that simply mean? That you're giving a judge 150 million in lieu of a house? And you tell me that it is not corruption, there is no corrupt practices in it, or there are no intentions? And this is the same person who still runs back to this court. This raises serious concern. And that's why we are saying that judicial officers would have to reject those houses and let the judiciary look for ways, cater for the welfare of judges. We cannot continue to allow these politicians to... One of the reasons why you see that judges are quite reserved and kept protected from the general public is because of the importance of their role in our society.